Okay, so you downloaded your clip. You can use lots and lots of different things to download a clip, or you could, just email yourself a video thing. So whatever video file is here, if you're on a Windows machine, the built-in Photos app works pretty good for this. So if you just right-click on a thing and you say open with Photos, it'll open this thing. And then what you can do is just say edit and create, trim. And then you can drag these right and left, and you can save out little tiny clips to wherever you want. So I went ahead and went through this process already and saved out a couple of clips to my own project folder. So you can see, like, from that big long 10-minute thing we did, I went ahead and exported out this little Logitech clip because I'll talk about the next section using this as an example. And then I also saved out this little clip, which is only a few seconds. Once you're to this section, what I would recommend doing, if you want a really, really like dialed in frame by frame, how did they do that type thing, so that you can, like, I would often just copy comic books or copy pictures when I was in college. Like, look at a really good drawing by Michelangelo, just try and draw it in charcoal. And it was always terrible, but it was really good teaching tool on how you do stuff. So if you're looking at these animations, it's really nice to have frame by frame representations of what these animations are. You could import them into After Effects and just look at each frame. That's totally legit. If you want them as just frames that you can have on your computer and look at without having to open After Effects, the media encoder is really good at just spitting out individual images. So if you had a clip, all you would have to do is drag it into your media encoder like this, and then pick some preset that exports out an image sequence. So this one is set to export a PNG sequence. So if you click the little middle blue button, I think by default, you probably have been exporting stuff using H.264. So if you click the drop down, you just go to PNG, it'll say PNG sequence with alpha, that's great. Then pick a location. Because it's going to spit out tons of frames, it's better to put them all in a folder instead of just like at, next to your movie file. So I would click on the location and make a new folder to send it to. So like, now that you have this, you can double click it and say save, and it'll put all the images in that folder. So you're not like dumping them all in the same place, and then it's hard to find your movie file and do all that kind of stuff. So that's the process I went through to make these frames and also make these frames. And so once you're to this stage, you can really just have these open as reference. And so this one I thought was really cool for looking at how this person achieved that idea that we discussed of reusing elements in the animation and morphing things and retargeting to different stuff. So if you look at this little mouse, for example, it comes on screen and like the buttons kind of morph out of the top line. And then once it's there, it stays there for a little bit, but it moves, and then it starts to use these little accent motion lines, which are really cool. So that just kind of appears as a little dot, but then stretches out, and it kind of helps your eye follow along with the overall movement. But what you'll notice is that the mouse button, the horizontal thing, comes out and becomes, I think, the stand for a webcam. And then the other dots morph into this circle. So there's a lot of really clever little morphs in this animation, in the Logitech animation. And also the thing that I thought was really clever is all the movements actually resemble the font itself, in that there's like vertical straight up and downs, and then these really nice circles. So if you watch the movements, it actually goes along with the shape of the letters and like how everything moves is actually very connected to the font itself. That's a choice. That's something they did, and I thought it worked well. Maybe you want to break that. You want the movements to be completely different than how the fonts are, and like that's important for your animation. Just another thing to keep in mind as you're coming up with ideas. If you're on a Mac and you want to get to this stage where you have your little saved individual files, I believe QuickTime can do that very easily. You just got to edit, trim, and it will give you this little window, and you drag the beginning and end, and you say trim, and it'll save you a little animation that's just a piece of your movie to wherever you want on your computer. From that stage, once you have your little trim clip, the process should be the same for making your frames, because you're going to use the media encoder to do that if you wanted to make individual frames. Cool. So ends the demo. Are there any questions on this process? Nope. Going once, going twice. Okay, great. Now I will